Minecraft mod of the day. Part 105. Listen to me, okay? Listen to me. You better be on your best.
Minecraft mods you should check out. Part 1. Number 1, web displays. Web displays is a pretty cool mod where you can connect to the internet in Minecraft. This is how it works. Basically, you get these blocks from going in creative. Then, I guess I'll just do 8x4. Seems pretty good. So let's try that. Let's see how this looks. Structure's invalid. Look at that. Okay. So, you just click on this. Then you place down a keyboard and remote controller. You click on that, then connect it to that and the keyboard. And then you just type a website in. So, for example, neil.fun. And bam, you're already
Other way, other way. Back to where you were. How was that?
A few months ago, I built my very first gaming PC. It started a whole journey of me installing Linux, writing my very first line of code, completely de-googling, running my own self-host. But there's one truth that
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of all my tasks. I start by brain dumping everything I need to get done in a list view. Next, I set a priority and a due date to keep things on track. I create custom statuses to organize my progress exactly how I want it. I like to add the action items field so AI can show me the next steps. I add my teammates as watchers so they're in the loop. ClickUp makes work easy, from personal projects to running a multi-billion-dollar company. Click the link below to create your workspace for free.
Create a beautiful, job-winning resume with Enhansive. Join thousands of users who got amazing jobs at some of the top companies in the world with a modern, ATS-friendly Enhansive resume.
This is the Posher cooking robot, and apparently, if I select a meal, so paneer tikka masala, mixala. I can customize it to my taste preferences, so very spicy. If I hit start cooking, this is going to do everything for me. Whoa! It's flinging in the main ingredients as and when they're needed. The pan here is going to cook the food, and this top section will even drizzle in the water and oil and sprinkle in the spices and salt at the perfect times, using a camera that is watching the meal come together and using AI to understand what it's looking at. So let's come back later to find out if I'm ever going to need to cook anything again. I have just spent $8,000 buying the laziest tech on the internet to find out just how much effort it's possible to save ourselves. Gadgets that cook for you, but also gadgets that clean for you, iron your clothes for you, change your bins for you, make your bed for you, and even ones that blow for you. I'm talking about the Nekojita Fufu, a robotic cat that blows on your food and drinks to cool them down. So tea goes into these 2 glasses, and now both of these are at 72.2 degrees C right now. You get a fufu. That's actually quite good design. The cat organically fastens itself around the rim of your cup. So let's see how much of a difference it makes. So it's trying to mimic the way that a human blows on their food by using a small fan on the inside that comes on and off at random intervals. Gotta say, the thing is adorable, but I'm still astounded that it has raised over $100,000 on Kickstarter. That there are thousands of people who actually want to pay for a whole separate gadget that they have to store somewhere to make sure they charge after every 60 minutes of use, all to perform a role that is very rarely needed, and even when it is, could also be achieved by just waiting for another 90 seconds. Okay, it's been 5 minutes, and there is less than a 4 degrees difference between the two. So, on the effort saved scale, Fufu blows 10%, if that. Then how about spending $100 on the couch console to combat the tiresome hassle of leaning forward? So this is designed to keep all the stuff that you might want to have with you while you're on the couch organized, but with one extra special feature: a self-balancing gimbal cup holder. So it's using some sort of metal counterweight at the bottom to keep your drink upright, even if you rotate the tray. To up the stakes here, I should probably open the drinks. Sparkling water. Oh yeah, that works great. Normal size drinks can. Yeah, it just about fits. But I don't love the push you have to do every time you want to put it back. Oh, try the tea from earlier. Okay, that's too girthy. But that's not the only thing it does. It is also modular. So for example, this is a phone holder and a tray for your remotes, which you can also add an anti-slip mat to. To be fair, it does actually keep your remote just as planted as your drink. Then, flip the thing over, it's an armrest. Or let's say I don't fully finish my snacks one evening, and this spacer over here becomes your lid. Kind of. It's not very well fitting, to be honest. The strangest thing, though, has to be this USB-C port, which means if you've got a power bank, you can put it into this compartment and use another USB-C cable to then power your phone via the console. But that just feels like such a clunky way to manage the battery of your phone that still doesn't even save you having to have a cable trailing around. So would I keep this on my couch? No. Definitely not. It just feels so over-engineered. Like, I'd way rather just have a small drinks table like this, because you can keep anything on there with no restriction. I'd way rather eat crisps right from the packet, as opposed to measuring out a small portion into this tray and then washing the tray every time I want to change crisps. So very little effort saved, all things considered. Let's quickly check how our paneer is doing. Oh wow, this is so cool. So the robot is taking a snapshot of the pan every 40 or so seconds that I can remotely check from my phone. It's actually become a curry already. Early lunch is fine with me. Maybe you can relate to this. I mean, just as equally, maybe not. But for me, ironing has become such a time-consuming task that I even specifically try to buy clothes just because they require less of it. But that is where the shirt butler is apparently about to change things. A reimagining of the ironing concept that is falling apart as we speak. Oh goodness, not one of my smoother unboxings. But here, instead of putting the iron onto your clothes, you put your clothes onto the iron, which is actually one of 2 different balloons. So you'd use this one to iron your trousers or pants. Oh my God, actually looks ridiculous. I also feel like if someone saw this happening from the window, it would just look like I'm trying to drown someone. And then this one is for your shirts, which ironically looks like it needs an iron. So this is about as creased as a t-shirt gets. So you essentially dress your balloon, which to be fair is not as significant of a chore as it sounds. You then clip the pegs into the corners of your garment and go. So this is using hot air tension technology, which is effectively hot air plus the stretch created by the balloon. Okay, it's been 10 minutes and that is actually looking kind of promising. You can still see some creases, it's not flawless, but it has done about 50% of the ironing for us, and I commend the innovation. So I have just made some hot dogs for lunch. Smells absolutely divine. But first, and easily the worst part of any barbecue, is the cleanup. Dealing with this is one of the few tasks that I would consider worse than ironing. And so I am seriously interested in what the lazy gods have blessed us with this time, the Grillbot 3.0, a robot with wheels made out of brushes. So it should be as simple as placing this on the grill, pressing that to turn it on. You
GoDaddy has the perfect hosting plan for any website.
Because that was 10,000 days.
A few months ago, there was a weapon on our server, able to shred through stacked players like they were mobs. Bugged to be so powerful, the admins removed it entirely, and it was never seen again, until I found the recipe. I found it, bro! I found it!
No way.
I had no other choice. I had to craft it before anyone else found out about it. So, my teammate and I went to grab the first item, a mace. And to craft a mace, we needed a heavy core, found in trial chambers. We're very locked in. Until...
Yo.
Oh my gosh. It was Muggum, the strongest player on our server. What makes him so scary is that he only uses his power for one thing. Hello? Yo. Are we chill? We're good?
Sure.
Okay. And that thing is obtaining more power. Wait, what are you doing here? What are you here for?
Got apples?
That's good. That's good.
What are you guys here for? Candles. The hell do you need candles for, bro?
Make sure we light up our pretty base.
It's nice seeing you as always, bro.
No, it wasn't, bro.
Yeah, definitely not. That was not a treat at all. That's...
So apparently this is what the end dimension looks like. And that little dot in the middle is the entire Dragon Island. What the hell? Well, I don't believe it. So today we're going to become an astronaut and explore these hypothetical rings. And if they are real, I'm going to be the first person to visit 100 rings in hardcore Minecraft. So step 1, we're going to need a crazy amount of elytras because if this is true, we're going to have to travel millions of blocks. And of course, there's only one place to get elytras. Let's go. There we go. Elytra number 1. Bang. Elytra number 2. Okay, this one should be elytra number 4. All right, that's now 8 elytras. And there we go. With this one added, we now have 16 elytras, which should be enough as long as we turn them into these really OP elytras with Unbreaking 3 and Mending. So for this, we need to head back to the base. And whilst I'm flying, this is the Reddit post that started this entire video idea. Basically, this guy claimed this is what the end dimension actually looks like, with random rings everywhere. Well, I don't know if I believe that, to be honest. So the only way to find out if Obvious Click is telling the truth is to actually go and see these rings for myself. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And I just realized I've been flying the wrong way the entire time. That is great. All right, so to get these books, we're going to need a bunch of our emeralds. Then we're also going to need some regular books. Okay, now we need to find our mending guy, which I have no idea which one he is. Frostwalker, Silk Touch. Mending, let's go. So we'll just buy a bunch of these. Okay, we need 3 more mending books, but he's expired. So where is our Unbreaking 3 guy? Yeah, actually, I think I killed my Unbreaking 3 guy. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to go through the painful process of getting a new guy. Okay, one of you guys can give me Unbreaking 3, please. Oh, this is going to take a while. Okay, whoever gives me Unbreaking 3 will get to live. The other one will be murdered. So it's up to you guys if you want to give me the trade. I don't mind. These guys really don't want to live. Just give me Unbreaking 3. What the... I actually hope nothing but bad things happens to these guys. At this rate, flying millions of blocks is going to be faster than doing this. What the hell? Maybe it's a conspiracy theory. They don't want me to see the end rings. I'm on to you guys. Does it even exist? Yes! Oh my god, I nearly broke the lectern. Finally! Yes! Give me all of them! There we go! Alright, you're both dying. Yep. You deserve that. Oh, wait, I'm going to have to do that in future again. Let's just forget about that. I'm not lying. That took 25 minutes. Minecraft might actually not want me to discover these end rings, but I need to know if they're real. So let's grab our last few mending books, make our OP elytras, and move on to step 2, which of course is the firework rockets. And if my calculations are correct, we need 410 stacks of the best rockets in the game. Yeah, if these rings aren't real, I'm going to be annoyed. But anyway, I'm just going to go round my world and scavenge because I know I've got rockets pretty much everywhere, like in here, for example. These ones are probably left over from my world border videos. Okay, I've actually managed to scavenge quite a lot of rockets. We've got all of these full. We just need to fill up these ones. First things first, let's grab a bunch of sugarcane and turn this into paper. Okay, now we can head over to our OP gunpowder farm, and hopefully there should be a lot of gunpowder in here. Yes! Okay, so now we should be able to craft the OP rockets. Yeah, this is definitely not going to be enough paper. I really wish we had a sugarcane farm as good as that carrot farm. Wait a second. I don't have a massive sugarcane farm, but I do have this automatic one, but it's broken. If we can somehow get this fixed, it should give us enough sugarcane to get the rockets. Yeah, right now it's really broken. Okay, we'll just grab this stuff. And I think we just need to rebuild this flying machine. All right, so this should be working now. Yes! Let's go! So I spent the next 6 hours AFK in the farm, crafting loads of paper, and reading some of the Reddit post replies. Ironic yet fitting that the final dimension of Minecraft will be full of circles. Looks like J1407B. Whoa, that's sick. How many blocks out does that first gap start? Well, Harani, I'm gonna find out. Alright, so there we go. All of these shulker boxes are now filled with Flight Duration 3 rockets. So that should be more than enough. Which means we can now move on to step 3, the final prep before we leave on our journey. And I think one of the most important things we can bring is definitely an ender chest filled with all of these rockets, just so we have a lot more inventory space. Okay, so we've got pearls, we've got obsidian, and now we just need some blaze powder. Okay, so we can make the Eyes of Ender. And there we go. We've got our Ender chests. Our food is already sorted because we've got golden carrots. But now the next thing we need is probably something you won't be expecting. We need some redstone. And to make it, we also need some iron. So now we should be able to make compasses. There we go. Go. And now if we surround these compasses in paper, we can make a bunch of maps. Because if these end rings do actually exist, I want to capture at least some of them on a map. Okay, that should be all the map stuff we need. Okay, and now the final thing we need before we start our journey is going to be the thing that hopefully enables us to get back without having to fly all the way back. But I'm going to leave this as a big surprise as I'm not sure it'll even work. Come on, please. So now that our ender chest is fully sorted, we're finally ready to move on to step 4, the actual journey. Oh my God, I'm nervous. All right, here we go. Let's do this. I'm going to fly straight through here and we are flying. Let's go. As you can see, we're going in the positive X direction, and we're just going to have to be really smart with our rockets. So it's time to find out if these end rings actually exist, or if obvious click 5542 is lying. I really hope he's not lying. Okay, we've just hit 10,000 blocks. And I'm just looking at the Reddit post. This gap here is meant to start at 370,000 blocks. So, yeah, we've got a long way to go. So I think now is about the time we should start trying to conserve our rockets and fly the most efficient way possible. And to do this, we're going to fly straight up in the air. And I'm just going to press the rocket every time it runs out. And we should be able to get loads and loads of height. And then once we get to about 10,000 blocks, I'll show you the next step of the plan. All right, there we go. We're at 10,000 blocks in the air. So now we just need to switch our pitch forward to 25. And that's like the optimum angle for us to glide down forwards. And we need to make sure our yaw is on -90. So we're like lined up really straight. Okay, there we go. That should do. So now we're gliding at the perfect angle. All we need to keep an eye on is our elytra health. And whilst I'm doing that, guys, make sure to like the video, because if these end rings are real, this will be the first time anyone's been to them in hardcore Minecraft. And we want as many people as possible to see these end rings. Okay, we're about to have to change our elytra out, I think. There we go. Perfect. Okay, here we are. We're pretty much just about to land. We are now at 92,000 blocks. But according to this picture and this guy that says he made it to the first gap, we're only a quarter of the way through this layer. Oh my god. The end is absolutely massive. But whilst we were in the air, I did some calculations and I know the exact amount of heights, rockets, and elytras that we need to make it to the first gap. But before we do it, I just need to repair these elytras. This is why mending is so important. Come on, Enderman. Come to me. Okay, that's all the elytras repaired. Now let's fly 38,000 blocks in the air. Oh, this is going to take a while. And now we can go at that 25-degree angle again. That should do. And if my calculations are correct, we're going to be flying like this for about 2 hours now. But as long as these end rings are real, I'm going to be pretty happy. Let's go! We're 100,000 blocks away from the Dragon Island. That is absolutely mental. Okay, there we are. We're over 200,000 blocks, which is just over halfway through the center disc. Yeah, I really hope these end rings are real and I haven't just flown all this way for nothing. That would be really annoying. So according to the Toaster 0000, we are now very close to the first gap. So I'm going to fly like straight down just because I want to see when it actually starts. Oh my god. There is stuff beneath us. Oh my god, we're still so high. So apparently these end islands are about to stop. I don't know if that's going to happen. I guess we'll find out. Oh my god. If I've flown all this way, I'm going to be really annoyed. Surely it's real. There's no way it could be not real. Any second now, it should happen. Wait. Is that it? But before we find out if that's actually the gap, I've got to shout out the Red Magic Astra gaming tablet for keeping me entertained whilst I've been flying this entire time. This beast has 24 gigabytes of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage loaded up with my favorite games, which I've been able to tablet. So make sure to check out the link in the description and get yourself the Red Magic Astra gaming tablet today. Thank you, Red Magic, and now let's see if this gap is actually real. Wait. Is that it? What the hell? Yeah, it's literally just void. It's like a straight line. Oh my god. Oh my god, that's sick. Look at that! What the hell? So this is the edge of that first disc. Oh my god. I've literally played Minecraft for over 12 years and I did not know this existed. How did I not know that? This is crazy. Wait, maybe if we fly far enough this way, we can see it like kind of turn. Oh my god, look, yeah, it turns there. So it's literally going to be in the shape of a ring. That's sick. The end dimension has rings. And we haven't even gone to the first one yet. This is like the center ring. I'm not going to count it as a ring. Okay, here we go. I want to do on maps now. So I'm just going to put ender chest down. Get our map stuff out. Just do that. Okay, so we can see the straight line on the map. Now, if we use the cartography table, we can extend the map. So like that. Yes. Let's make it bigger again. Whoa. Okay, that's the biggest you can get it. Okay, now I'm going to fly down the edge of this and try and map out the edge of this ring. And there we go. We've captured the start of the gap on this map. That looks really cool. So we'll keep that in there. And whilst I was flying, I saw this guy's video where he got to the first ring in creative mode at 524,000 blocks. So it's about 150,000 blocks across this gap. So we need to repair these elytras. Gonna fly straight up again, and then we'll get gliding. So we now know obvious click was telling the truth. I don't think that's a picture. I think it's like some kind of render. or something. But I'm literally going to be the first person to see these rings in hardcore Minecraft. Oh, that looks so cool from above. Okay, let's get to about 20,000 blocks and then we'll hopefully glide over this gap. Okay, I think this will be a good point to glide from. So let's angle at 25 degrees. And now we're just casually gliding over a 150,000 block gap in the end. That is kind of scary. Oh my god. Okay, I've been doing some more research, and according to everything online, the first ring should be popping up any second now. And we are severely running out of height, so I hope it does. We've literally been flying over the void for about an hour. It's got to appear soon. Come on. Don't tell me I'm stranded. Let's go! The first ring! Oh my god. This is sick. Whoa. So, all that time flying, and we are now only here on that image. Ow! Oh my god. I want to be killed by an Enderman. What? There's end cities out here. That's sick. That's really cool. We're literally like 500,000 blocks away from the Dragon Island, and there's still end cities. Diamonds? I'll take that. Okay, I think I've decided I'm going to take a screenshot with each ring I visit, so that when we've been to 100, we can look back on them all. We'll keep the quartz up. Bang. Screenshot. And now, of course, we'll do our map thing, repair our elytras, and start flying to ring number 2. And thanks to this graph that I got from Ant Venom's video, we can see where each of the rings start, meaning we can just fly up and glide straight from ring to ring. But before we do that, let's just test the graph is actually right. This ring should end at 642,000 blocks. All right, we're coming up at 642,000. Does it stop? Let's go! The graph is right. That is the end of this ring. So we can now trust the graph, and we know the next ring is at 740,000 blocks. So I'll see you when we get there. So as we speak, I'm now flying over this gap here. And I found out by watching some YouTube videos that getting to this second ring is like the furthest anyone's ever been in survival or creative.
If I gave you $100 million, would you rather fight 10 100-year-olds or 110-year-olds? Decisions.
That has got to be the stupidest question I've ever heard. Have you met an 100-year-old? 10 100-year-olds.
تاكسي اب التطبيق الذي يفضله الجميع.
My computer has one huge problem. The mouse. And recently I realised it's a problem that every single mouse has. Because even though some are designed to be more comfortable, they're still a mass manufactured generic shape. So today I'm going to try and make the world's most ergonomic mouse that's fully customised to my hand. But as this monstrosity clearly isn't going to work, I'm going to be using some of this, and a lot of this. But to build a custom mouse, first I'm going to need to know how a mouse actually works. The inside mechanics all start with an LED at the back that shines a light onto a surface. Then this image sensor takes a ton of readings of the texture on that lit up surface and uses them to figure out where the mouse has moved to, which is then all fed back to your PC through a cable and moves this little pointy stick, along with any signals that are sent back when you use the clicky buttons at the front. But to make a mouse from scratch, I would need hours of research to learn how to wire circuit boards and how to then program that to my computer. So instead of that, I've decided I'm going to repurpose one of these pre-built mouse kits, because not only do they come with everything I'm going to need, but they were originally designed for having custom-made 3D printed outer shells put on top of them. So this means basically all I have to do is design a custom-shaped grip in my CAD software and get myself a 3D printer for the job, which luckily I had lying around in a box from Bamboo Lab. Simple. The problem with trying to make the most comfortable mouse in the world is always going to be accuracy, and using traditional measuring techniques or trial and error is basically impossible, because no matter what I end up designing, my hand will naturally fall into that position when testing it, even though it might not be the most comfortable position for my hand long term. So the only way to know for sure that my hand is at its most natural rested position is to somehow print a perfect shape to fit inside this gap. And that's where this stuff comes in, because not only is it extremely satisfying to play with, but it's also the perfect consistency for making a temporary custom mold of something. And as it's so flexible, I can squeeze it into all the important support areas without it altering my grip, which is great until it gets stuck to your desk. After I'd carefully got the mold unstuck, I did have some doubts about the aesthetic, but figured I just had to trust the process until the end. So the next step is to scan this shape into my computer, but as it doesn't fit in my photocopier and most 3D scanners are insanely expensive, how much? I'm going to try and do it using my iPhone, because this little black dot on the back is a LiDAR scanner, and whilst I look at what that means, I'm going to make a DIY turntable to hold my mouse on, which is actually a great example of why having one of these 3D printers is crazy useful, because this little custom turntable took a few minutes to model as just a basic circle and a polygon extruded upwards. Then I just put the file into my slicer and sent it across to my printer without even leaving my desk. So after a few minutes and less than $1 of filament, I can attach it to my drill, and with the help of some gaffer tape, I should be able to rotate the mouse 360 degrees and get a full scan of the object. After deciding that manually controlling the drill was a better idea, I started getting my scan. But even though I'd set up everything right, I couldn't get the LiDAR scanner to actually work. And as I had pretty much no experience with 3D scanning, I'm not completely sure why. Other than it seems LiDAR is more designed for quickly scanning larger areas and spaces rather than stationary objects. So I switched over to photo mode, where I basically had to take a sequence of photos all around the object to get as much detail as possible. And the results were incredible. This whole scan was produced purely from my phone camera, which just blows my mind. And now that I have my scan completed, I can make a couple of adjustments on my computer, send it to my printer and hit print. After a couple of hours I had my first prototype, which was actually a pretty great fit first time except for these sharp edges and bumps. But after smoothing them out and printing a new version, it was actually really comfortable to hold and move around my desk. So now all I had to do was add some buttons to the front and the electronics to the inside, which if I'm honest was a real nightmare. I spent hours trying to come up with ways to do this well and think how I could improve the overall look of this thing whilst I was at it. But then I remembered the whole point of this project is to make the world's most comfortable mouse, not the world's best looking mouse, which means I can't touch this outer shape at all, because if I do then it would change that super comfortable grip I spent so long scanning in earlier. So in the end I settled on making two buttons that print separately to avoid getting these layer lines all down them, which click into these hinges underneath. I also hollowed out the middle section so the electronics kit fits nicely inside, but like the rest of the mouse I'm sacrificing looks for functionality. So it should all work great, but this slope at the front meant I didn't really have much choice on how the buttons would work. The mouse wheel is also more sunk in than I'd have liked, but this extra long slot should mean I can easily slide my finger across and get an extended turn on it. So now I was as happy as I could really be, I fired up my printer for one last time. After the final print was done, all I had to do was assemble all the parts together, which gave me time to reflect on not only this project but also the new printer by Bamboo Lab, because even though I've just about got my head around being able to create something on a screen then manufacture it myself at home, I still find it crazy how easy printers like the A1 have made it now. Whether it's experimental projects like this mouse, organisers for your home or spare parts for broken appliances, the A1 has enough tech jammed inside it to cope with it all and even rival far more expensive machines, all for what is a pretty affordable price considering in my opinion it's the best all-round consumer level 3D printer currently on the market. And after tackling a whole load of different prototypes of this project, it finally came up with this. The world's most comfortable computer mouse. Well, kind of. So the mouse isn't exactly what I had planned when I started this project. In my head I had envisaged something that looked incredible as well as being the perfect custom fit for my hand. But it seems there is a reason why these mice are the way they are, to find the perfect balance between ultimate comfort and aesthetics. So for longer sessions at my desk I'm definitely going to be testing my new mouse out, but I think taking it to a local coffee shop to work might have to wait for version 2.
We're about to test the most viral gadgets on TikTok to find out if lots of views
Bye.